Our guy, completely psyched up, is preparing for a showdown with something completely unexpected. Meanwhile, the lady lunges into the air, poised to slice and dice our guy with some serious veggie power. While performing mid-air acrobatics, she reveals a snow cloud sword that shoots beams of snow, creating a winter wonderland disco. Our guy's expression is priceless because he realizes that this is no ordinary party trick. But hold on. Before she can unleash a frosty apocalypse on him, our guy pulls a ninja move. Quick as a cat, he dodges her icy onslaught. Amidst the chaos, there is an old coot, who is probably older than your grandma's secret cake recipe, cackling uncontrollably. It turns out he is the Myeongihi demon of the snow mountain, and he is proud as a peacock watching his disciple give the young master a run for his money. But wait. There is another guy who looks like he just crawled out from under a rock, frustrated and confused. Meanwhile, the grandpa's eyes widen as if he just witnessed a magic trick. He can't help but be impressed by his granddaughter's incredible martial arts skills. Mentally, he's giving her high fives for her remarkable progress in such a short time. But amidst all the admiration, something is ticking in the old man's mind. Despite the granddaughter's flawless swordplay, the guy she is facing off with remains as cool as a cucumber. He seems to be reading her mind, seeing through every feint and shift in her ninja-like movements, and effortlessly dodging her attacks as if playing hopscotch. His reactions are lightning fast. He shows no fear in the face of a sword, and his gaze is focused. It's as if he is on a mission to find any flaw in his opponent. Sure, he may have appeared slightly overwhelmed at first, but Grandpa is not fooled. This guy has battle scars deeper than a philosophical conversation at 3 a.m. Now, let's zoom in on our dude. He smoothly draws his sword from his back, as if pulling off a surprise party trick. Right in front of him, the lady charges at him, looking utterly puzzled as if she stumbled into a magic show without a program. And here comes the twist. Our dude, standing there as if he is the reincarnation of Buddha, starts radiating a blue light that leaves the lady scratching her head, wondering if he is about to pull a rabbit out of a hat or something. The old coot and the hobo from before are practically speechless, not knowing what just happened. It turns out that our dude's bold move involves him boldly mimicking the snow cloud sword technique that the lady was flaunting earlier. Meanwhile, the big old fart can't believe his eyes. He refuses to accept that our dude could casually pick up such a flashy move just by observing it a few times. Now, our dude, dead serious, sword in hand, lunges towards the lady with the speed of a cheetah. Right at this epic clash, their swords meet head-on, and the lady, not one to back down, swiftly counters his attack. But here's the catch. She is forced to admit that the sword technique he just picked up by simply watching is so refined that it catches her off guard. But wait, she's not done yet. Standing her ground like a seasoned warrior, she points out his fatal flaw. His imitation has made his moves as predictable as Grandma's Sunday stew. With a smirk of triumph, she gracefully leaps into the air, leaving his sword striking the ground. As she hangs mid-air, a malicious grin spreads across her face like a Cheshire cat. With a flicker of yellow lightning dancing along her blade, she taunts him, daring him to brace himself for her next move. And boy, does she deliver. With the speed of a lightning bolt, she descends upon him with the 7 Swords of Yuma attack, leaving the crowd holding their breath as they witness the clash of titans. As expected, they collide head-on, and the arena shakes with the spectacle of their battle. But just as she gracefully lands on the ground, the dude's eyes widen in disbelief as her sword passes by him dangerously close, leaving him swallowing hard. Fueled by cat-like intensity, the lady lunges towards him once more, and the clash of their swords echoes throughout the arena like a symphony of steel. And so, the battle rages on with no end in sight. The onlookers, caught in the swirling dust kicked up by the intense sword clash, are practically biting the dust themselves. All eyes remain glued to the battlefield, eagerly awaiting the ultimate victor, including the old guy and his hobo sidekick. Their jaws hit the floor, almost becoming part of the settling dust cloud as they anticipate the outcome. Let's not forget the Baldy. He is equally on edge, eager to witness the grand finale. As it turns out, the young master and the lady are in a deadlock. No one has hit the dirt just yet. Grandma breathes a sigh of relief, and the crowd cheers, giving props to the righteous demon's grandkid. So, after the epic showdown, the lady and our dude engage in post-battle small talk, exchanging thanks and compliments. She reveals that she had fun in the duel and also learned a lot. But true to form, Our dude downplays his significance, insisting that he learned a ton from her. He drops some wisdom about the world being full of invisible things and his ability to perceive them. In the midst of this humble exchange, a voice chimes in from behind, interrupting the mutual admiration society. It turns out to be the Baldy, standing there like he just walked out of a shampoo commercial. He adds to the conversation, suggesting that instead of just patting each other on the back, let's give a shout-out to the brains behind the Snowcloud sword and the 7 swords of Yuna. And as it turns out, the hobo and that old guy from earlier are the founders of these techniques. The lady gives her grandpa the side-eye and questions him if he seriously believes that this dude magically memorized the whole 7 swords of Yuna. She admits he is clever, but that sounds like a bit much. The hobo jumps into the chat, backing her up, saying there is no way a kid could pull off those moves with just a glance. According to him, those sword skills are the result of years of hard work, not a one-time tutorial. However, Baldy steps in with a reality check. He points out that everyone saw the kid replicate those moves after just a few looks. In the midst of the elders' back and forth, our dude remains silent, not bothering to chime in. When the elder guy states that he wants to double-check the moves, our dude gives him a cold look, asking if he can't hear, and bluntly states that if he hasn't memorized it, he can't perform it like that. But the hobo isn't having any of it. He screams over our dude, urging him to ditch the reserved act and reveal his true colors. "Show us what you're made of," he hollers, believing that honesty and openness will serve him better. Breaking his silence, our dude calmly responds with a nonchalant, "As you please." Gripping his sword firmly, he unleashes a flurry of fancy, flashy moves that could rival a Star Wars audition. Baldy, the cool cucumber he is, stands there, watching the spectacle unfold. In the end, he smirks because, well, he knew he was right all along. The young lady, on the other hand, is in disbelief, staring at our dude like he just pulled a rabbit out of a hat without breaking a sweat. And there's the hobo, his mouth left wide open, facing the cold reality that our dude, with a mere glance, memorized the entire technique. So, the hobo straight up calls our handsome boy a monster, probably thinking he just witnessed some kind of sorcery. But our dude, against all the mockery and raised eyebrows, casually says, "I don't know what to do." He reveals that he was simply captivated by the graceful movements of the 7 swords of Yuma technique, and followed along with his eyes. Then, dropping the bomb with a laid-back vibe, he publicly announces that if anyone wants to call it theft, he won't be using that sword technique ever again. At this point, Baldy's face contorts with anger, accusing our dude of daring to steal someone's sword technique so easily. But in a twist, our dude realizes he is hearing Baldy's voice directly in his mind. It's like a telepathic conversation where Baldy instructs him to just listen, stay silent, and drops the bomb. It is telepathy. Publicly, the old Baldy asks our dude if he would consider mastering the art of stealth under his guidance, serving him as his master. Through telepathy, he reveals that he has been waiting for someone like our dude for a long time. On the outer side, the old-timer suggests that mastering the sword technique of the 8 great protectors of the heavenly demon fortress would undoubtedly benefit him. If he learns and practices the 5 mysteries of the Yuma 7 swords, he might approach the path of a master. In the midst of this telepathic exchange, the young master speaks up, telling the old dude that he understands what he is saying. But there is one thing in that suggestion that stands out like a sore thumb. He does not want to take the old fart as his master. As Baldy's face contorts in anger, vines start popping out on his scurvy old skin. Zooming out, it's like witnessing the guy go absolutely bonkers, losing his marbles because our dude just hit him with a rejection. He's beyond pissed, fuming mad that this little rascal is holding on to his pride till the bitter end. Taking a closer look, the old guy's eyes are shimmering with fury, and his veins are doing a pop-up show on his shiny bald head. He's screaming his lungs out, questioning the unorthodox martial arts philosophy of living a life without shame and always looking up to one's master as an example. The old man is throwing a full-blown tantrum, and the nasty aura he is radiating starts repelling everyone in the vicinity. It's like witnessing a grandpa meltdown. Definitely not your typical day at the dojo. With a glint in his eye, the old man drops some wisdom bombs, saying stuff like magic or blades teaching the way and causing a ruckus in the world. That is a job for the masters coming after him, not him. Then, he pulls off some energy ball magic on his palm, going on about how these masters are the ones who see the world in black and white. Thinking coexistence is a pipe dream. He asks our dude if he seriously thought he stood a chance, like playing a solo white stone on a go board, leaping into the air with his grand finale energy display. The old man dishes out his last words, claiming folks like our dude should have been nipped in the bud from the get-go. So, there you have it. The angry old man's palm finally connects with our dude, and he goes flying through the air, hitting the wall with a massive bang. In the midst of the swirling dust, the lady hits the ground, terrified by the sheer display of strength closing in on our dude. We find him on the ground, looking totally messed up. It would be a miracle if he survived that impact. Meanwhile, the hobo rushes towards Baldy, asking his lord what the hell got into him. But the old man, still not satisfied, lets out a big roar, accusing our dude of insulting his master and disrespecting their heavenly demon fortress. He's convinced our dude is just coasting on talent and has no respect for tradition. And there you have it. The lady gets a front row seat to witness the other side of her grandpa. To ease the tension, the hobo decides to ask his master why he's getting all worked up over the words of a mere youngster. But the old man is not having it. He starts running, shouting that he's gonna drag this impudent guy out and toss him into the Sangam Mountains. Now, the onlookers are losing it, shouting to either help the guy or he's gonna meet his demise. In the following moment, we find ourselves amidst the mountains, the setting sun painting everything with its yellow hue. As the scene zooms out, bathed in the beauty of the evening's golden glow, we witness the hobo and his lackeys tossing our dude aside. With the pesky brat out of the way, the hobo decides it's time to head back. The once yellow evening sky gradually transitions into night. Amidst this change, we catch a glimpse of our battered and exhausted dude, struggling to utter a few words as he lies on the ground. He looks at his palm, then reaches into his chest and pulls out a book. Here's the scoop. The hobo had given him that book, which happens to be the secret manual for the 7 Swords of Yuma. Filled with determination, our dude decides to address the Baldy guy as his master, having personally experienced the greatness of the heavenly demon fortress. While staring at the book, he resolves to etch into his heart the lesson that the world cannot be reduced to mere black and white. Lost in reflection, he continues to gaze at his hand. Suddenly, he starts to flash back to the moment when the old man instructed him to listen, silently. Alongside his public speech, the old man communicated telepathically, revealing that he had been waiting for someone like our dude for a long time. Though our dude may have many questions, the old man urged him to listen quietly to what he was about to say. And here's the kicker. The old man divulged that, when this turtle is revealed, more than half of the martial artists in the heavenly demon fortress will rush to kill our dude. Thus, the old man cunningly planned that until everyone fully comprehends the situation, our dude must keep everything a secret. Furthermore, the old man promised to help our dude safely navigate his way out of this place for the time being, after which he could decide what to do next. Returning to the present, our dude boldly declares that he does not want to take the old man as his master, hence how he ended up in his current predicament. We find ourselves back in the midst of the towering mountains, where we spot someone swinging a stick. As the scene pans out, we see our determined little dude going all in with his wooden stick, his eyes blazing with unwavering resolve. He swings the stick through the air with remarkable skill, leaving behind a cool silhouette trail. After executing his killer moves, he stands tall like a boss. But then, his eyes land on the stick, which starts trembling uncontrollably. Now, he reverts to his usual self, talking to himself and wondering why the stick always shakes when he strikes that finishing pose. Our dude mentions that with the weight of these mountains on his shoulders, his movements are as powerful as his body itself. His actions are unlike anything he performed back in Gajo. His only concern lies with the white crane swordsmanship, and he is diligently working to adapt it as much as possible. Suddenly, his train of thought is interrupted by the arrival of a white beast. Judging from our dude's reaction, it's evident that he already knows this particular creature. Upon closer inspection of the beast's face, it becomes apparent that it enjoys gazing intently at our dude. This prompts a mischievous smirk to form on the boy's face as he questions the beast about the reason behind its fierce stares. He even dares to ask if the beast aspires to become a mountain sage or something of the sort. Surprisingly, the boy is taken aback by the beast's response. His startled screams only seem to amuse the beast, which promptly jumps on top of our dude, who continues to smirk like a little rascal. However, before he can make sense of what is happening, the beasts have already made off with all his belongings. It seems even the animals have outsmarted our foolish boy. As he brushes off his back where the beast's paw landed, he notices something peculiar. He marvels at how a white fox can move so gracefully with such short steps. Despite the seemingly limited power in her feet, she effortlessly maneuvers with just her toes, grasping onto his stick. A light bulb flickers in his mind. He ponders if concentrating strength in the fingertips, rather than the palm, could potentially revolutionize swordsmanship. Fueled by this newfound animalistic wisdom, he gives his stick another swing. A grin spreads across his face as the sword glides more naturally in the right direction. The boy goes wild, bursting into laughter, while proclaiming to the bewildered beast that these teachings surpass the techniques of the Kamtuk family any day. The poor creature, clutching its snatched bag, is likely wondering what kind of wild ride it has stumbled upon. After a day filled with achievements, our dude decides to rest in one of the tunnels. Upon closer observation, we catch him meditating like a true master. He has mastered the art of controlled breathing, which works wonders for his recovery. After a brief breathing session, he experiments with fire, realizing that he can accumulate inner energy more effectively than he initially thought. However, he faces a hiccup: the lack of martial arts techniques to channel that energy. No matter how smoothly and accurately he swings his sword, if it all culminates in just one stroke, he cannot create a formidable martial technique. He wonders if there's a way to continue this journey with the sword, one that could undoubtedly lead to the development of an exceptional technique. Thinking outside the box, he contemplates drawing inspiration from the movements of other animals, such as the agile white fox or a cunning creature navigating the ground. However, he dismisses the fox due to its limited range of movement without limbs, and the idea of a rabbit hopping around seems too chaotic. Perhaps he could take a page from the Book of Trout, observing its darting movements in various directions underwater. In the end, he finds himself increasingly befuddled amidst a wild journey of self-discovery and swordplay in the mountains. Suddenly, a butterfly makes a grand entrance, leaving him perplexed by its out-of-season appearance. He attempts to shoo it away with his stick, cautioning the fluttering creature against the risk of catching fire. Yet to his surprise, the butterfly effortlessly evades his efforts. After several failed attempts to ward it off, the butterfly nonchalantly perches on the stick, seemingly unperturbed. Our protagonist is left dumbfounded, regarding the butterfly as if it were the creature of the year. Eventually, the butterfly departs, leaving the boy with a newfound spark of curiosity and realization. As it turns out, mimicking butterfly movements holds the key. Who would have thought that nature held such captivating swordplay lessons? And so, a year passes, and we find ourselves back in the mountains once more. This time, we encounter someone firmly rooted to the ground, wielding a wooden stick with lightning-fast precision. None other than our protagonist. Inspired by the butterfly, he tirelessly refines his movements until the tip of his sword moves as gracefully as a butterfly's wings. He repeats the trajectory time and again, honing a sword technique that transcends conventional methods. The secret lies not in the sword's shape, but in replicating the fluidity of butterfly movements. With absolute clarity, he prepares himself, and a whirlwind begins to swirl around his sword. He executes the first stance swiftly, followed by the second, each move exuding style. Then comes the third stance, executed with finesse, and finally, with ferocious speed, he delivers the fourth and final stance. And what follows? Well, the poor wooden stick simply cannot withstand the intensity and shatters into countless pieces. Talk about ending with a bang. It's like a whirlwind of swordplay, leaving nothing but splinters behind. There he stands, watching the stick disintegrate, a cheeky smile creeping onto his face. The poor stick couldn't handle the power-packed final stance. With the stick's retirement ceremony complete, he decides it's time for a new sword, something flexible to accommodate all those fancy stances. Down the mountain he goes, on a quest for the perfect blade. He's pretty pleased with mastering the stances, and he has a feeling that the blood butterfly sword technique is about to become the next big thing. So, he packs up his belongings and ventures out of the tunnel he called home. Suddenly, two wolves appear out of nowhere, making him wonder if they are following him or just looking for a new cave to relax in. Either way, a pleasant smile spreads across his face. He strides out of the tunnels, telling the wolves that whether they make it their home or not, it's time to part ways. As he embarks on his quest, an image of the young lady pops into his mind. 3 years have passed since he last saw her, and he assumes she must have left the family and disappeared by now. With a grin etched on his face, he bolts out of the place like a flash. It's finally time for revenge and to conquer the world. We find ourselves in the Golden City Escort Agency, one of the top 10 representative escort agencies in Harem. This agency is renowned for its dedication to transporting goods of any size and type, with trust and reputation being the lifeblood of their business. However, one day, an unforgivable incident unfolds. Without anyone noticing, an item entrusted to the agency gets stolen. It turns out that someone unknown pulled off a switcheroo without a soul catching on. To make matters worse, attacks during transportation become more frequent. The head of the Golden City Escort Agency sets out on a personal quest to regain their lost honor but is ambushed by known forces, suffering severe injuries that lead to his demise. As the Golden City Escort Agency crumbles, one by one, the other representative agencies follow suit. Meanwhile, a new force known as the Blue Dragon Bureau starts encroaching on their territory, hinting at signs of a major conspiracy. The Golden City Escort Agency now barely manages to survive, existing only in name. In the following scene, a person is seen grinding roots and plants in a bowl, feeling sad that this place has fallen into the hands of the enemy. As the scene zooms out, we see a dejected lady wondering what else is left to lose. The lady is none other than the current head of the Golden City Escort Agency. She is now in a state of shock, feeling helpless. Contemplating the situation, she thinks about finding an escort to accompany her on a mission. However, her sulking moment is abruptly interrupted when someone addresses her as a sister, the person who appears as the vice head of the Golden City Escort Agency. He advises her to stop making that dejected face, mentioning that if the head of the agency remains gloomy, it will make others uneasy. So, she agrees and asks if he found someone. The guy seems a bit unsure but mentions that while they seem skilled, they are also a bit hard to control. She then decides to meet them regardless. Despite his confusion, she is relieved to hear they found someone and decides they should meet them regardless. She figures having someone skilled in martial arts for the escort mission could make it a bit safer, so it is worth checking out. And there you have it. Enter a man with full-blown blue hair and another guy with a straw hat, keeping a low profile under his cover. Seems like things are about to get interesting. So, there she is, looking all worried as she sizes up these two candidates for the escort gig. But, instead of jumping to conclusions, she decides to let them spill their stories first. The blue-haired dude gets right down to the bottom of the ocean and finds himself in the middle of the ocean. He is clued in about the mess with the Golden City Escort Agency and figures if she lays out the task, they can get down to it smoothly. But, the lady throws in a moment of awkward silence just to keep things interesting. Her brother shoots her a questioning look, and finally, she spills the beans. It is an empty carriage escort, essentially a service for carriages carrying nothing. So, she starts revealing the valuable items they lost and the tarnished reputation due to those relentless attacks. She is determined to honor their father, who bravely defended the goods until the bitter end. However, before she can delve deeper into her plans, Mr. Reddrapes interrupts, questioning the effectiveness of her empty carriage escort job. He straightforwardly asks if she believes she can gather the fallen representatives of the 10 escort agencies just like that. The lady's alarm bells start ringing. This guy sees through her intentions as if it were child's play. She tries to salvage the situation, claiming that, at the very least, they will expose the dispensability of the Blue Dragon Bureau. But the man in the straw hat is not having it. He stands up, sternly declares he is leaving, and suggests wrapping up the conversation. So, our man decides to take a leisurely stroll outside, leaving the lady in a state of bewilderment and anger. Meanwhile, the blue-haired companion advises her to relax and get back to the business talk. As our man casually strolls outdoors, he overhears voices discussing his sudden departure. Suddenly, he is on high alert as 8 wannabe ninjas emerge from the shadows, questioning his intentions. While the lady and the blue-haired man continue their negotiations, the blue man suggests gathering all the skilled members of the Golden City Escort, asking what is happening. With a smirk, the blue man hints that things are already in motion and they are about to witness it firsthand. So, The trio ventures outside and witnesses the Straw Hat Man surrounded by a group of wannabe ninjas. One of the ninjas lunges at our man with fierce speed, but he effortlessly counters the attack, making it look like a piece of cake. More ninjas attempt to take him down, but our man, with a mischievous smirk, swings his sword left and right, cutting through them as if it were a walk in the park. The lady is left dumbfounded and horrified. The blue man is wondering what the heck is going on in this chaotic scene. As they become visible, one of them shouts that they have finally shown themselves and decides to kill them all. But the blue head decides to rock the party, swiftly passing between the ninjas and cutting them like cucumbers. While holding on to his blade, he makes it clear that they are in the middle of discussing the escort mission, and he does not like any interruptions. As the scene zooms out, we see him flexing his big sword drenched in blood, reminding those ninjas that if the heat of the agency dies before paying the fee, it will be troublesome for him. The girl is left dumbfounded and horrified, and practically hits the floor as she sees those guys cut through like cucumbers left and right. Meanwhile, there is one particular lackey nearby her trying to pick up his sword with trembling hands. Before he can do anything, he gets slammed with a rock directly onto his face, thrown with exact precision by our dude, who stands cool amidst the swirling dust. So, the dude finally lifts his straw hat, revealing his face, and he is clearly annoyed, complaining to the lady about the inconvenience of not being able to wrap things up smoothly. After dealing with the ninjas who are now lying dead on the ground, the bluehead asks what they should be doing with the bodies. In response, our guy suggests burying them in the dunes to keep enemies from finding them. Turning to the lady, our guy inquires about the wounded soldiers, and she reassures him that thanks to him, they were prepared for such incidents, and everyone acted promptly. While they attend to things, the bluehead, scratching his head, sighs with unease, lamenting the trouble in the middle of the night and dealing with guys who cannot even withstand a single strike. Our dude throws a jab, questioning what he is boasting about when he could not even finish off a single guy properly. So, in the middle of their little quarrel, Mr. Bluehead defends himself, basically saying he did his job as a bodyguard. What is there to brag about? Meanwhile, our dude is still throwing shade, and the lady, caught in the middle of these two goofballs, is probably thinking, why did these guys apply for the bodyguard gig in the first place? Despite the unexpected chaos, she's starting to see the potential in these oddballs for helping out with the whole Gumson reconstruction thing. With things sort of settling down, she asks if they are up for the job, then they can continue their conversation from where they left off. Back at the scene, we see the blue-haired individual pouring water into the bowl, all the while being questioned about whether he is the infamous sword demon. With a smug smirk, he confirms his identity, leaving the lady and her brother stunned to be in the presence of the legendary bandit ghost, who defeated the northern twin ghost and son Diako. Taking a sip of his drink, he clarifies that he is not just any lowly bandit ghost. He is the sword ghost Master Song. Curious, he asks about the whereabouts of the other fellow, recognizing our lad as the butterfly guy. The bluehead explains that he went to scout around and should be back soon. He adds that he has a lot of time to spare, but he has not known him for long enough to determine if it is just his innate personality. The brother, intrigued, quickly follows up, asking if they have not known each other for long. Why are they already together? The bluehead, ready to share a bit of their backstory, begins the tale. So, it was about 2 months ago when they first crossed paths. There were rumors of a shady gambling den in the area, so he thought of visiting it, thinking he might find something interesting. However, as fate would have it, he ended up losing his own pocket to a swindler, so he was quite mad at that young guy, who is barely an adult, casually raking in the moolah. He then goes to the bathroom, like it is a walk in the park. And of course, he has got a sword, seeing that he figured he must know a thing or two about martial arts. The bluehead decides it is high time to size up our lad. So as our guy strides out of the hall, the bluehead observes him from the shadows. Finally, he confronts our lad, accusing him of being a beggar, a thief. Our dude shoots him a steely look, and questions if this motherfucker is trying to scare him with that knife. Not one to back down, the bluehead grabs his sword, calling our guy a punk. To make things more spicy, he throws out the name Yom handpill to scare our dude off, and makes it clear he has business with him. With a mischievous grin etched on his face, he challenges him to settle things right then and there, daring him to come at him and discover how vast the world truly is. But a confident smirk etches on our boy's face. Our lad figures the bluehead must have heard the same rumors and decides he might be useful if handled right. Before the showdown begins, we take in the den under the blue sky. As both dudes prepare for the spar, Mr. Cockypants confirms that it is a good spot with no prying eyes. Our guy, with a smug smirk, jokes about being the only one to witness his humiliating defeat, but the bluehead urges him to stop stalling and come at him to see how long he can keep up the bravado. In the midst of this pre-showdown banter, the bluehead asks him to give his name. Our dude, nameless as he is, drops the bomb that he does not really have a decent name to share. Now, with a mischievous glint in his eye, he throws a curveball, wondering aloud about the bluehead's skill level. The bluehead clearly gets annoyed as if a woman has been asked to give the number of her age, so, without giving a straight answer, he charges forward, sword in hand, as if to say, "Let's settle this on the battlefield." So, with the blue-headed warrior making the first move, their swords go on a collision course like it is the clash of the century. Now, this dude is getting all intrigued, thinking, this young fella just took that hit head-on. Maybe he has got some ninja skills up his sleeve after all. Their back-and-forth swordplay is like a dance, leaving streaks of light behind with every swing. It's like they are creating a masterpiece in the air. But the blue head guy is not having it. His face screams, "I did not sign up for this." He charges at our duba with the speed of a caffeinated cheetah. Meanwhile, our young fella is not playing it slow either. He's striking a pose, which is a bit of a surprise. He is prepared for action. However, as the camera zooms out, we see our young man taking a step back amidst the chaos of sword swings. It's as if he is saying, "Wait, let me handle this with a little more finesse." Zooming in on his face, we notice a smirk forming. This is where he begins expressing gratitude to the blue-headed individual, acknowledging that the chaotic sword dance taught him that he is stronger than he had realized. On the other hand, the blue-headed individual stands there, mouth agape, looking as though he has just witnessed a failed magic trick. Curious as ever, our young man inquires whether the bluehead intentionally swung the sword, to which he responds negatively. By swinging wide, he inadvertently provided an opportunity for our young man to dodge like a ninja. The bluehead then reveals that he had been strategically creating openings for our young man to speak while assessing his movements. It's like a game of mental chess, with the bluehead feigning provocation, but approaching the fight cautiously, not taking the bait. Instead, he focuses on deciphering his opponent's intentions, rather than falling for taunts. After being exposed, the bluehead's expression morphs into one of frustration, akin to someone being told that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Our smooth-talking young man decides to up the ante by proposing a bet more exhilarating than a roller coaster ride. If the bluehead wins, he receives all the gambling winnings and valuable information. However, if our young man emerges victorious, the bluehead must serve him for 6 months without complaint. The bluehead, bewildered yet intrigued, accepts the challenge but demands transparency and fair play. In response, our young man explains that he is in search of someone and believes that teamwork is essential for success. As the tension mounts, our young man readies himself mentally for the impending sword duel. Taking a firm stance, he signals to the bluehead, indicating that it's time to begin. The bluehead, equally prepared, assumes an offensive stance, contemplating the young man's skill with the sword, and speculating that he may be one of the 2 individuals he is hunting. The vibes of internal energy are off the charts. No time for small talk. Our dude whips out the blood butterfly swords technique, second form. Now, his blades shining red, and butterflies are doing their elegant dance around him. Then, without further ado, he unleashes the ultimate move, the blood butterfly second form wound grinder. He goes full-on ninja mode, lunging at our dude with the speed of a caffeinated cheetah, looking like he is about to slice him into 2. The bluehead's practically got his jaw touching the ground, staring at this weird sword technique like it is the latest meme he can come up with. Now he marching forward with determination in his eyes. In a blink of an eye, he has already crossed paths with him, and on the flip side, he, surrounded by the fluttering blood butterflies, clenches his mouth, grinding his teeth in frustration. Next thing you know, he takes a nosedive straight to the ground. Now, lying there like a fully messed up pancake, he cannot believe it. Even with his mighty arm strength, he bounced off like a rubber ball. While the bluehead is still soaking in the bitter taste of defeat, our dude extends a hand, offering it like the key to a new adventure. With a cheeky smile, he is all, "You know what? You lost, my friend. Now, as promised, you are officially my sidekick." Sure enough, The blue head takes the hand, standing up and muttering about encountering the most absurd dude in the martial arts universe. Unable to contain his curiosity, the blue guy pops the big question. He tells him to spill the beans. How's our young gun's sword technique so mind-blowingly awesome? And what is with that inner power thing? He just cannot wrap his head around how our lad has achieved so much at his age, and further asks him which sect he belongs to and which master does he know. The old dude even throws in a warning. If our lad is a threat to the martial arts world, he might have met his end right there. Our dude, sizing up the guy who just tasted dirt, finds it ironic that someone's talking big after taking a beating. He starts wondering if the bluehead belongs to the righteous faction or something. But then again, the righteous faction usually has people as rigid as ironing boards. In a moment of contemplation, the boy decides he does not want any misunderstandings clouding the adventure ahead. So, he takes a deep breath, inhales a sigh, and decides to spill the beans. The boy then, revealing that it is all about the great in-breathing technique. It's the name of a mysterious medical book that serves as the blueprint for his inner power. He casually mentions he is not part of any sect and does not have a master. Instead, he read the book and built up his inner power based on that knowledge. The guy, looking utterly confused,